Well, Jim, we're actually running a little behind schedule. We actually ran into some problems with a lot of tree roots. The owner had previously brought in somebody to remove the tree stump, but they only brought it down probably about a foot below. And then there was this to deal with, this great big chunk down here. And you can see some of the other roots which actually spread out through the middle of the pond. And it actually took us about a day and a half to take care of the problem.
And so I see you got a big mat over there that you're putting the dirt on.
Yeah, you want to, if you've got live grass, of course, the problem with this is that you need to put out a tarp to lay your soil, because you'll probably need to take some of that soil back to smooth things out. You may have gone down too deep or something like that. So then you always want to have some good soil left behind to kind of smooth things out. And not only that, you probably don't want to leave this tarp on your grass longer than a day, because it'll just leave a great big yellow square on the grass.
Right.
And
Kill the grass.
It'll kill the grass, yeah.
So tell us about your big hole here. What's the plan?
Well, basically we're digging out the section of the pond which will contain the water. We still have to put in our step on the side to hold our stones, and we actually will be marking that off with spray paint and actually digging that out, and that'll give us that shelf so that we can create that difference between the water and land.
Okay, and then you're also going to be digging out a trench of sorts to put the plumbing in that's going to run over there to where the fountain's going to be?
Yeah, and that trench will run along the side of the pond, because the actual drain pipe will be coming in through the surface of the liner on the inside of the pond, and that will be painted black so you won't be able to see it.
So the pipe will be on top of the liner as
Yes.
opposed to underneath the liner?
Yes, it will.
Aha.
And there are other ways to do that. You can actually get drains that'll go on the bottom that act as a bulkhead, and they go screwed in with screws around the top, and then it's sandwiched between another plate, and this will actually create a bulkhead on the liner, and then you can run the plumbing underneath it. But in this situation, it was decided that because of costs, wanted to keep costs down, so we would run the drain pipe through the top.
And the intake strainer then, what is it, a basket or a box or?
It's basically, you can do a lot of things with it. You can just grab a pipe and drill holes into it. They actually sell strainers that are really wide, and they have a wire mesh around them. And that'll essentially keep all the inhabitants of the pond out of the filter.
And can we take a look at your surface skimmer and then maybe
Yes.
that drain line as well?
Yep, we've got it right over here.
So this is the skimmer box. Can you tell us a little bit about how it actually works?
Okay, so basically the way the skimmer works is it has this weir on here, and your water level is going to be at this height here. So this will have suction created from the pump, which goes to the filter. Now, what will happen is, as water and suction is created by the filter, the water will push this weir door open, like so, and this will hang in the water level, floating up and down. As the water level changes, this will change too. The lower it gets, the more the door will open. Now, as the water travels through, it's going to hit this net. The purpose of the net is to capture large leaves and sticks and things of this nature which may drop in. Now, as this net gets full of leaves and so forth, you essentially pull it out, and you can actually clean it out with a garden hose. And the next thing that happens is that the water will travel, and the fine particles will be captured here by this foam pad that you can see here. And the end result being, this one also needs to be cleaned out, but the end result is that the water that's now coming to the filter is essentially holding only very minute particles, which the filter will actually catch and remove.
And so the water passes through that net and through the filter pad here, and then it comes to this side of the surface skimmer. What happens here?
Well, this is where the pump will essentially pull the water out and then take it to the filter.
And what is that the pump inlet there, or are we going to drill another hole?
Well, sometimes they provide you with two holes, one on the right, one on the left. It all determines where your water lines are coming from, if you need to have them on the left or the right.
But that will be the inlet for the water pump.
That's correct.
Okay. And so obviously you have to take into consideration, once this whole surface box is mounted into the step, you have to take into consideration the plumbing lines or suction lines that are going to come out of there.
That's correct.
Okay, and those suction lines, you have the option of either trenching it and burying it under the pond liner, or in your case you're going to run it inside the pond, a pipe that's painted black.
Yeah, now that'll be the return pipe. Of course, the other pipes, for example, the pipe that will be sucking the water out of this container, will actually be trenched alongside of the pond.
Aha. So this suction line here coming off this unit will run around the outside rim of the pond itself.
That's correct.
So we've referred a few times to the shelf or the step that the rock sits in, but it's kind of been undefined as to exactly what that is. So can you describe to us what the shelf or edge or step is going to be?
Well, the shelf is to actually hold the rock so that you have a nice interface between your water line and the land area.
Okay.
So that the stones look like they're actually in the water.
As opposed to sitting on the edge.
On the edge. And then you'll see that when people do that, you'll see a stone on the edge, and then you'll see nothing but black liner sitting on the side. And that does not look natural at all.
Right.
So you want to create a transition. So by building this step into the side and putting your liner over it, you're essentially creating a transition between land to water.
And this step is typically how wide and how deep?
Well, it all depends on the size of the rocks. If your customers want really big rocks, of course the step has to be much wider. In this situation, we're using medium-sized stone. So we're probably going to use an area about I would say anywhere between 12 inches to about 8 inches in width. And then it will go down anywhere between 8 to 12 inches down below.
So can you show us this frame or this line you're going to draw here?
Yeah, we have, I started to do this, and it'll essentially be around this area like this. Now, this will be cut down, and then another notch will be cut in this way, essentially giving you a step.
Okay, 1 foot wide and about 8 to 10 inches deep.
Right.
Okay, and then we did briefly talk about the surface skimmer. Where does that fit into place?
Well, the surface skimmer is going to go right here, and we're basically marking that off, and you can see how I'm continuing the line for the shelf. So I'll go ahead and grab the skimmer, and I'll show you basically where it's going to go.
So as you can tell, the surface skimmer on a koi pond is a pretty important component within that system. It not only helps remove the large particles, but it minimizes what the water pump has to send into the bead filter. Now we need to get rid of that big tree stump in there, so let's get out the chainsaw and take it away.